Hey, hey! Do you hear that? Sounds like cringe. You know what that means? You found your way to my channel! Welcome, glad to have you. You know, your childhood was awesome when you don't realize at the time that you are poor as shit. So yes, today we will be talking about the cringe that was my childhood. The childhood of Little Miss Poverty. Disclaimer, being poor ain't all shits and giggles all the time in the name of toxic positivity. So for now, I will just be focusing on the perks of the good old days. The downsides can be saved for a later video. And with that, let's dig up this treasure chest of memories. Today, we are drawing Tom and Jerry, which basically made my childhood back in the Philippines. Yes, that's where I'm from. Mabuhay! It's not like the fancy first world countries, but boy, we sure had a good time. Okay, I realized I need to shorten my videos, so that's what I'm gonna try to do. Get through this as quick as a book. So, since I heard the new Tom and Jerry movie came out, it took me back, way back. It made me realize how, even though we didn't have much back then, it was still way more fun than it is now. So back in the day, I spent the second half of my childhood with my wild cousins, and sometimes other neighborhood kids too. They would gather around my place, think it's because we're the only ones that own the TV, and we would watch stuff like anime and cartoons. Yes, they're different things, get over it. We used to watch shit like Dragon Ball Z, Tom and Jerry, SpongeBob, then play all day, climb trees, do stupid shit. It was awesome! Those days really shaped the person I was to become today. That explains a lot. You were hardly ever lonely back then. There were so many of us in such a small house. There'll always be someone around the corner. Like, I had so many cousins, it was insane. Honestly, I lost count. I even had this twin cousin where we shared everything because we were grandma's fave. And being grandma's fave, this woman would go through hell and back for us. She literally went around the market for hours in her feeble old age just to hunt down my favorite food. Even though we didn't have much, this woman found ways to spoil me rotten. Now that's commitment. And she would also let me know when I'm doing something stupid. Like, she'd let me know. Us young ones looked up to the older ones. We drew, we danced, we basically did everything without Wi-Fi. Life was good. But now it's all different cause since moving into England, I can only speak English now. I can still understand, but hardly any of them talks to me anymore because they simply can't understand me. And my grandma's dead. My twin cousin went to prison that one time. Don't do drugs, kids. And barely said a word to me when I left and when I came to visit. But still love him to bits though. And a bunch of them have kids now. And then there's me. Still watching anime and cartoons, drawing. Still the same 8-year-old at heart. Only this time, I'm on my own. Character development who? We don't know her. I still can't believe I'm technically a tita, but I still feel like a bubby. Even as old as I am now, when I went back to visit my older cousin, still had to sort out my food when we were eating crab. She literally said like, yo, I did this for you when you were a baby and I still have to do this for you now in your 20s? The fuck? It's so scary how a decade just demolishes everything you know and change it into something so painfully unrecognizable. But that's life. Except for me, not much changed because I'm timeless. So, to get to the bread and butter, let's discuss some of the dumb shenanigans Little Miss Princess Poverty here got herself into back in the good old days in the slums. In the days before the internet, us kids had to entertain ourselves in other ways, especially when the TV gets too hot and we would get kicked out the house and play. One of the things we used to do was to get some small toy cars, pull them by a string, and walk behind each other like a poor kid's parade. And then there's me. I didn't realize how hilarious this was until I looked back to tell the tale. It's one of them things that will never stop being funny to me. So yeah girl, because she didn't have a fancy toy car, my grandma, bless her soul, suggested the other toy I had with wheels would do. And you'll never guess what it was. Brace yourself. It was this colorful, cheap, plastic ass looking chicken with big white wheels. Like one of them cheap ass dollar store rejects. Okay, so the closest picture I could find was this pigeon toy. But it was something similar to it. I know it's not a chicken, but I didn't have any pics of it, so this is all I got. And I just tied a string on its little neck and wrapped up into the streets like, what up, I got a big cock. Oh my days. Oh, you're mad at your parents because they got you the older iPhone for Christmas? Yo, I had to pull this whilst the other kids pulled cars. It was the equivalent to turning up on a F1 race with an ostrich. I was that kid. I think my grandma either found it cute or was taking the piss. What's funny was the other kids didn't even care. We were so poor that that shit didn't even matter. And I fucking love it. If a kid pulled up something like that today, they would be cancelled. Cancelled! I mean, not much changed. I still don't have a fancy car, but this time at least I didn't improvise with something stupid. I just walked. Oh boy. So another story is actually quite controversial. I have a confession. I robbed with my cousins. Okay, hear me out. It's actually not that bad. Well, so my grandma had this small shop at our house. In the Philippines, it's quite common. We call them tindahan. That's what you call it. Did I get it right? Probably not. But basically, we sold a few essentials like soaps, snacks, condoms. JK. We also sell. JK. We also sold rat poison. Anyway, so my grandpa watches over the shops, and when he takes naps, my older cousins would steal a few sweets from the shop and take me along with them as an accomplice so that they wouldn't get into too much trouble if they get caught. Cause, you know, I was the favorite. So we'd take whatever we can and we'd run away. And if they'd notice, we'd be like, oh, don't know what's up with that. You know, like a liar. OMG, I just realized I was being used. The older kids didn't let me join because they thought I was cool. They just wanted to get away with the crime. So that was my rebellious phase. But I'm no criminal, I promise. In contradiction to that, my last story shows how much of an evil brat I was. Like, yo, if I was to meet my younger self, I'd sucker punch some sense into her. So, when I was very young, when I was very young, like 4 to 5-ish, maybe younger, I don't know, I don't remember, I had this lame-ass bunny tricycle, and some of the neighborhood kids would ride their bikes around. I would just tag along cause Bish thinks she don't need no invitation. So we were riding up the regular path, and I remember being friends with this particular girl, and she was riding her tricycle right behind me, just following me menacingly. And I was heading towards a wall. All I had to do was turn. But my dumb, curious, undeveloped brain thought, what's gonna happen if I just pedal towards the wall? Straight up. Yes, that was the literal thought that went through my developing mind. Because at the time, I thought, oh, I never crashed into a wall before. Wonder what will happen if I do. Young me was the bare definition of curiosity killed the cat. I swear. What's funny is I never even seen Harry Potter at the time. I didn't even consider being isekai into a world of wizards if I crash into a wall. So I had no excuse apart from just being stupid. So I crashed into the wall, made a 360 flip, crashed my little bunny tricycle, and probably injured myself, which was rightfully deserved. And my friend behind me was like, what the fuck this bitch doing? So I realized what a dick move that was. I thought, oh fuck, the only way I can recover from this buffoonery is to use my friend as a sacrificial lamb by blaming her for this dumb fuckery, like the asshole I was. I was a terrible friend. I deserved every hurt that came from that ride. But I swear I'm not a psycho. Promise. Okay? 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 Okay.
Okay.
So, in conclusion, if I had a guardian angel, they would have resigned from the cringe a long time ago. So yeah, my childhood wasn't sparkly, but I came out with battle scars, and I had a blast, had great memories, forgot most of them, but I'm sure they were good. I mean, the food was. Whilst kids nowadays, man, I sound like a boomer. So, whilst kids nowadays had iPads and shit, we played with rocks and bugs. And some mofos even kept them inside matchboxes and made them fight to the death, like some sort of fucked up underground chicken fight. But instead of chickens, we used spiders. Cause the chickens were mostly eaten and we were bored kids that betted with bragging rights instead of money. Cause back then, we weren't materialistic. We were just poor. Back in the day though, I would never have been able to draw the stuff I'm able to draw now. If I went back and said to my past self, you will draw this one day, I would have called BS. A lot have changed. Life changes, and it will continue to change. And I will continue to do stupid shit, like start this channel. I also grew up with SpongeBob, but the older I grew, the more I realized that the world isn't always like Bikini Bottom. Sometimes it's like Devilman Crybaby. I never grew out of that dork phase. Oh fuck. Can I even call this a phase anymore this far down? Was growing up poor that bad? I guess as long as you have others to keep you company. Was it perfect? No. Did we get the essentials like food, water, and shelter? Yeah. Have I learned plenty of important lessons? Perhaps. Am I a psycho? Hope not. Will I ever surpass this dumb, childish, dorky phase? Maybe. Should you like and subscribe? Yes. Will I see you in the next video? I hope so. Please. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the speed paint and my drawing of Tom and Jerry in my weird developing pop art style. So yeah, smell you later.